Good evening. I want to talk about the four technologies that I wanted to use for this assignment and how they could be used in the classroom for personalized learning. The first one is Google Classroom. Um, so, a couple of strengths and weaknesses for this one. One is it houses everything. That's a definite strength. You can send out all assignments to your kids and have them also submit assignments. It's a great learning management system. It allows for differentiation. So, within each class, I don't have any kids in here right this particular second, but if I were to share something, I can choose to send it to specific students, not just a whole group. So it allows for differentiation in that way, and I can personalize or tailor what the kids are doing or what individual students need rather than pushing something out just to everybody. A couple of weaknesses though: the more you send out and the more personalized stuff you do, it can become cluttered. So managing all the different things coming back to you as the instructor can be a little bit of an issue. Another weakness is it's not really good for sharing students' work. So students get done with an assignment, they submit it to you. You say, "Wow, this is a great assignment. I want to share it out with the world or share it out with other teachers in your school." You have to get the assignment and put it somewhere else. um, Now we would use probably drive or something if we were using it inside the school, but classroom itself is not really good for that. um, how I like I said, how I would intend to do this is more of a learning management system that allows me to differentiate the assignments that students are submitting and doing, and also allowing students to personalize their own learning by moving through a set amount of assignments at their own pace. So it's more of a pacing thing, as well as me being able to tailor specific things for specific students. um, Moving on. uh, the The second one that we have here is USA Test Prep. USA Test Prep is a subscription service that's standards based that our school pays for. It's also a data analysis um, feature, and that's one of the key strengths for it is it is standards based, um, and it allows students to focus on their individual needs, specifically in this green dot challenge, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a second. But it allows the students to decide what they need to work the most on. A couple of weaknesses for it: not all of the standards are perfectly aligned to the way they're worded in the state or from the state. Um, and we've had a problem in the past with student incentive. And so to me, that is a weakness as well. Is we're not allowed. Our school actually will not allow us to grade the green dot challenge stuff because they've had some issues with it in the past. So getting students to buy into it as an effective means to tailor their learning can be a little bit tricky. So that might be a weakness for some people. Now, how to use it. So under this tab up here for EOC, it has a place where you can view standards. And if you notice over here on the right side, it says dot rank. There's three colors for dots. There's like a purple color, a yellow color, and a green color. Green represents 80% or greater mastery. So green is obviously the best, and that's where the name the Green Dot Challenge comes from. Um, each tab is broken down by a specific standard. If you click on it, it has videos, vocabulary, questions, and performance tasks. These four things go into this dot ranking, as well as any other assessments that we do. Um, but allowing them to have time in class to go through and complete what we call the Green Dot Challenge allows students to go through and um, decide: do I need to watch a video on this because I don't really remember how to do it? Do I need to like go over the vocabulary because I don't understand the words? Do I need to answer some general questions, or do I want to try one of the more challenging performance tasks to really kind of extend my knowledge? So it also allows them to pick how they want to learn or what they want to work on specifically, but it also allows them to pick the specific standard that they need to work on. So what we would do is allow them to go through and work on ones that are at a purple level or a yellow level to try and improve those through practice to get up to a green. So it allows the students to tailor their own learning in that aspect and work on very specific things for them. That brings me to the next one. The next one that we would want to use, or that I like to use, is Google Forms. So Google Forms um, is pretty unique, and I like it as a creation tool for the students. The students can create their own forms to show what they've learned. Um, they can embed videos. They can embed, ask their own questions. It's also great for the teacher to ask specific questions and embed videos. And one of the really neat things, one of the other big strengths for forms, is that teachers can create it so that it wraps. And what I mean by that is, if I have a video and I have three questions I want the kids to answer about the video, sometimes you get the kids that aren't really paying attention to the video, so they don't really know how to answer the questions. So they have to get a certain percentage of the questions right. Otherwise, it will wrap them back to the video, and they'll have to rewatch it. So they have to reach a percentage mastery, or a certain number of question mastery in order to move beyond um, that set of questions to the next video. So in that way, it personalizes, the the time and the level of mastery that the students have to get before they can move on. Some weaknesses with forms is that it can be tough to input math. A lot of times it has some issues with some higher level math terminology and notation. Um, Also, another weakness would be that it's limited in the ways that it can show learning. Um, Multiple choice, short answer. Um, it can be a little bit limited in the ways that students can input their answers. Um, so that would be a definite weakness for it. But as I said, how I would use it for personalization is by either personalizing the process. In other words, kids have to be able to reach a certain mastery to continue on through a lesson. If I were using forms for the lesson, or having kids create their own forms and ask questions, to demonstrate, their understanding of concepts. Because by having them create their own questions, especially even if they're multiple choice, where they're having to, not only create a question but also provide a right answer that can then be shared with other students, can encourage peer-to-peer interaction and also show their understanding as well. And that brings me to the last one of the four, and this is something called Desmos. Desmos is graphing, an online graphing tool, um, but it's really so much more. That's not a very good explanation of what Desmos actually is. Um, some strengths about Desmos is that it has built-in activities that are interactive and allow for student creation. On the screen here, one of the Desmos activities you see is two truths and a lie, and I'll explain that a little bit more in a minute. But um, this is a big example of the student creation part of Desmos. Secondly, it also encourages peer-to-peer interaction. This one is a good example of that as well. A couple of weaknesses is that it has limited functionality. It's pretty much limited to graphing type tasks, um, which is great in a math class, but for other subject areas, it might not be quite as beneficial. And it can be hard to create in there. This particular one is a very easy one, and students, have will pick up very quickly how to create their own slide or whatnot. But to do some of the more challenging tasks, which are great for the students to do, but they could be hard for a student to create. So it has some limited creativity abilities for students. So how I would use this: two truths and a lie. The students create their own assignment. They create their own question that has two correct answers and a wrong answer based on a graph that they've created. Um, all the students create one, and then you could share it out, and the kids answer questions based on that. So they're creating their own personalized question with truths and lies. So that would be the four. Um, Thank you for your time and have a good evening.